Hi, good morning and welcome to the AM News with me, Mapita Sibidi. Now, in our first story, Interior Minister Ambrose Derry says 5 officers of the Ghana Immigration Service are facing disciplinary action for demanding monies from travelers to allow illegal entry into the country. A JoyNews expose showed these officials illegally demand monies from travelers who use unauthorized routes near the Aflawo border. Speaking at a ceremony to inaugurate the GIS COVID-19 testing center in Accra, Mr. Derry said the officers will be made to face justice.
I want to warn all those who think that they can continue to use unapproved routes to get into this country and therefore sabotage our efforts at keeping extremism out in COVID-19. I can assure you that the Ghana Immigration Service is doing good work and giving me daily information about the numbers of people that they arrest and repatriate. Having said that, there are disturbing allegations that some officers of GIS are trying by their unpatriotic activity and behavior to sabotage that. Let me make it clear to all officers that anyone found engaged in those unpatriotic acts will be dealt with. I'm aware that about 5 of such officers are being sent through the disciplinary process of the service, and we're going to make sure that they be dealt with. Let us make sure that our officers do not, pursuant to the allegations, take monies and allow people in. It will be too expensive for us that we are going to jeopardize our security and COVID-19 efforts.
Away from that, residents of Adia Beba in Kumasi are worried about the upsurge of robbery incidents in recent times. They have established a watchdog committee to deal with the challenge. Nanaya Ojima has been to the community and filed this report.
The community has tarred roads with street lights, but for the past 6 months, the lights do not work at night. The community is mostly illuminated by security lights from homes. Though beneficial, some homes do not have them. The poor lighting system has turned the area into a dropping spot for victims who fall prey to criminals. Assembly member John Kokofuapia says intermittent police patrols have not deterred criminals from attacking residents. Hence the need to form a watchdog committee.
Already speaking to the security personnel on this matter. Then they told us we have to organize volunteers before we come and meet them, and then from there they will pick from that place. So now once we have met the people of this area, we will deal with the people who want to do the volunteers.
The residents are voluntarily donating cash and other materials like motorbikes to improve the situation. We are bent on dealing with these robberies. We can only do so when we are united. I am donating a motorbike to support the cause. The criminals are living within us. It's about time landlords dig into backgrounds of their tenants. For JoyNews, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
And now the Tamale Archdiocese of Catholic Church has launched a 10-year strategic development plan with a theme mobilizing for transformation of the Archdiocese of Tamale through evangelization, peace building and sustainable development. The plan has 74 strategic objectives and 265 activities. Martina Bugri reports.
Speaking at the launch of the policy document and fundraising, the Archbishop of the Tamale Archdiocese, Most Reverend Philip Name, said the objective of the strategic plan is to strengthen the church's social, economic, spiritual, and evangelizing mission in all its parishes, institutions, and catchment area.
The purpose of this strategic plan is to strengthen the church's social, economic, spiritual, and evangelizing mission in all her parishes, institutions and catchment areas within the Argyle. The scope of services to be implemented in the strategic plan covers youth and children, women and development, justice and peace, personal care and formation, health and wellness, agriculture, environment and climate change, social communication, and knowledge management. The plan therefore seeks to contribute greatly to the areas of human capital development, spiritual growth and development, livelihood and economic empowerment, and this corresponds to the vision and mission of the Archdiocese of Tamale.
In an earlier interview with JoyNews, Most Reverend Philip Name said the Catholic Church is set to plant 1 million shade trees in its 10-year development plan in the Savannah Ecological Zone.
We are going to partner with the Global Share Alliance and to plant at least 20 hectares of land per year. And for the strategic plan life of 10 years, 8,000 hectares of shade trees. This translates into 1 million shade trees.
Away from that, newly enskined Queen Mother of Chanha traditional area in the Wa municipality of the Upper West region, Pogna Fati Isaka Kore I, says her priority will be to equip the girl child with employable skills and to encourage the entrepreneurs among them to form cooperatives or partnership. She says that will give them the opportunity to set up income-generating activities. Rafiq Salam reports from there.
Women over the years has undoubtedly played significant roles in passing cultural heritage from one generation to the other. Women have also supported traditional leaders in the areas of conflict resolution. History was therefore made at Chanha in the one municipality of the Upper West region with the coronation and outdooring of Pogna Fati Isaka Kore I as the Queen Mother of the area. The colorful ceremony was attended by people from all walks of life, including members of the Upper West Regional Security Council, led by the chairman, Dr. Hafiz Bin Sali, coordinators of the various municipal and district assemblies in the region and beyond, and traditional rulers. Pogna Fati Isaka Kore I commended the overlord of the Wala traditional area, now Hussein Sedi Pilipo IV, and the Upper West Regional House of Chiefs for the introduction of Pogna into their fold, which he said will give voice to women when important decisions are to be taken. She observed that the world is fast becoming skill-based rather than knowledge-based, which means there should be a paradigm shift in the way things are done. Her goal will be to equip the girl child with employable skills and to encourage the entrepreneurs among them to form cooperatives or partnerships.
The youth in particular need to strive to get involved in income-generating activities and setting up small businesses. There is no justification why we should not boast of known brands in the region, thus locally produced soap, drinks, sachet water, traditional clothes, or even be the hub of traditional music or dance. The challenge has always been petty competition, rather than collaborating to grow and expand small businesses to stand the test of time. It is good to be our own bosses. However, it is better to work together to help establish transgenerational businesses.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam, Chanha.
In the wake of the coronavirus pandemic and with increasing medical cases in Ghana, the Accra Medical Center has built a new 45-bed capacity ultra-modern hospital facility as part of efforts to support the government in the provision of quality health care. The hospital officially opened the new facility on Friday to the public. Judith Awoshatando visited the facility and now reports.
The Accra Medical Center was built in 2011 with just a handful of workers and clients. Today, the center services over 90,000 patients. Over the years, it has fulfilled its primary aim of providing quality and affordable healthcare services. However, in the wake of the pandemic and with the increasing number of medical cases, board chair of the medical center, Moses Kluko, indicated that the hospital thought it wise to expand its services.
So we started planning such a project about 10, 20 years ago. And then I came back to Ghana this September, 11 years. And when we came, we started going to other places, and the challenges we faced, sitting down, waiting for a doctor for 4 hours, going through the difficulties of getting good care, we thought it was the right thing to do. So we started Accra Medical Center 2011, and over the years, our clients and patients asked for more. They wanted a one-stop shop. They enjoyed the service we gave and wanted to have everything in-house. So we started to expand our service, and that led to this project.
Today, the Accra Medical Center, through its newly built 45-bed capacity hospital facility, is able to provide orthopedic services with neurosurgery and ICU services set to begin within this month.
Okay, so this project is for Ghana. It's to serve Ghanaians. We have 3 wards, a pediatric ward. Each ward is 12 beds. We have a female ward and we have a male ward. We have 2 surgical theaters. We do all kinds of cases, from ENT to orthopedics. We've already started orthopedics. We've done about 7 hip replacements. We are hoping to do a neurosurgery case somewhere in August. And we are hoping to have other specialists on board to do a lot of cases. So now the plan is to shorten the waiting time for cases at the big hospital.
In an interview with JoyNews, Marketing and Communications Manager of Stanbic Bank, Maukwa Fajinu, explained the company is always in support of such projects due to the impact it has on the Ghanaian populace.
We've had a very good relationship with this project from beginning. It's one that has impact beyond the building you see. It provides a critical service to the economy, particularly to the provision of healthcare. And these are projects that the bank actively looks for and actively partners because of the cascading impact it has on the society.
The Accra Medical Center hopes to complement the government's efforts to produce quality healthcare in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. Judith Awachitando, JoyNews.
Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Anthony Afuobroni, has charged university students to show a good example in the fight against COVID-19 by wearing their masks and sticking to the safety protocols. According to the Vice-Chancellor, COVID-19 could be subdued if students who have been blessed with knowledge lead the way in terms of education and adherence to the protocols. Richard Kojanyako has more.
Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, says adherence to the COVID-19 protocols would be achieved if the educated people lead the way by sticking to the protocols. Professor Anthony Afuobroni says the virus was still on a prowl. Adherence to the COVID-19 protocols would be achieved if the educated people showed the way by sticking to the protocols. Professor Anthony Afuobroni says the virus was still on a prowl and might cause incalculable havoc if deliberate efforts are not put in place to reduce its spread. He wanted university students to lead the way.
I implore you to exhibit a high sense of academic integrity and sincerity. Strive to exude a flame that will dispel the darkness of ignorance among our people the world over. Most importantly, I wish to remind you that the COVID is still raging. In fact, even more fiercely. I beseech you to pay meticulous attention to the wearing of the nose masks and strict adherence to the other COVID-19 safety protocols. Please be ambassadors to stop the spread and to help keep our communities safe.
The University of Education, Winneba, signed an MOU with Kingdom Books to provide book services to the university community. CEO of Kingdom Books, Alfred Jatin, says the organization would want to improve the reading culture in the country by making more people develop interest in reading.
You get information from books. You know that this modern world, information or books is that prepares anybody to a great height. If you look at the first world, the developed countries, we all have the same human resources, but the quality of the human resources, that's what taking them up. And they got the quality of these things by what? Education, by reading, by getting more resources, by getting more information. That differentiates between the third world country and the developed country. So you want to gap that system by reading more, getting more information, networking. These are the things that we are actually lacking in our society.
A total of 10,515 were admitted to study at the college's distance and e-learning program. Out of that number, 4,656 were males, while 5,859 were females. The high numbers in the admissions of the females, the university says, shows how the females are showing much interest in the quest to upgrade themselves. Richard Kwejenyakon, Joy News, University of Education, Winneba.
And that's how we end the AM News with me, Mapito CBD. For more news, you can log into myjoyonline.com. The AM show continues with Israeli and Anymore.
All right, it's time for the news review. And I'm here with Enimwa Enimado.
Yes, so we're doing this
Enimwa is
together.
in black because you lost your dad.
Yes, I did. Yes, so still doing the dark colors.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
indeed.
So my condolences.
Thank you, Israel. Thank you. But life goes on. I'm starting this morning with the Daily Dispatch. Let's just quickly do the stories on the front page. So World Health Organization declares Ghana's vaccine rollouts exemplary. I shall not comment. NPP.
Why not? I mean, I'm interested in what you have to say about that. But yes, I think we've done a pretty good job.
I don't know about exemplary is a very strong word.
Well, if you're looking at how we have utilized the vaccines that have come through, whereas other countries get the vaccines and they're not able to roll it out as quickly, and they get, they expire and all that.
Okay. All right. Well, when you put it like that,
okay.
I'm still not convinced about the exemplarity of the situation.
Maybe, yeah, you can fault us for not positioning ourselves to have as many vaccines as
possible,
so that we can roll it out and get as many people getting the jabs.
The thing that actually really bothered me with the vaccine rollout was whether we were able to confirm people with underlying conditions. Do you know what I mean? There was almost no system put in place. So if I walked in, I wanted to get vaccinated, and I said, hey, I'm diabetic or I'm hypertensive or something, there was no verification of that.
True.
So I'm not too sure if people who actually needed it by the time they got there, got it. I would have wanted some sort of, medical records or something to actually show that this is the situation.
My understanding is that what was supposed to happen was the health facilities, they knew the patients who had those underlying conditions.
How did they know?
So they were giving, so those health facilities, ideally, your health facility is going to call you and tell you, because we know you have underlying conditions, we want you to come.
You know that didn't happen, though. In most cases, I'm asthmatic. My doctor didn't call me. When I go to the hospital and actually he can't find my folder, he doesn't know anything about me because everything is still pen and paper. There's nothing electronic. There's no data sharing. There's no... But yes, anyway, like I said, I'll behave myself this morning. Another story that caught my attention on the front page of the Daily Dispatch, Kayaye bath in headpans at night because the 1 Ghana cedi fee is too expensive. So apparently, they're charged 1 Ghana cedi to be able to use the bathroom so that they can shower and do other things, but they can't afford it. So you know the headpan, the gloga, not the one that they put on the heads. They're putting water in it, and then I don't want to think they're sitting in it, but that's their bathroom now, because obviously you can't stand by the road and be pouring water on yourself as an adult female. So it's a little bit worrying, and these things are happening at Tema Station, Makala Market, So obviously they're really busy places. Also, along the stretch of road between the Accra Metropolitan Assembly and the Tema station. So if you go there early enough, you'll catch a glimpse of this. Very, very worrying.
It's worrying.
Very worrying.
Essentially, they're offering a free show.
Well, yes, it's also, I don't know if it's against the law, indecent exposure. I'm not too sure about that, but also their safety, Israel, their safety, because we worry about these KIA in terms of their safety, getting raped, getting abused, getting, you know, all of that. So pretty sad story there. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, there is, but yeah, no, never mind. Okay, that's it.
Let me move to the Daily Graphic.
Okay.
So we have a government considering free tertiary education. That's President. He was saying that at the Global Education Summit. And then $200 million financial loss in Saglami project. Collins Dowda, 4 others in court. And this has been a big story from yesterday.
Yeah.
It's been on JoyNews all day. So we have that on the front page of the graphic, and essentially has to do with 2 former ministers in the John Mahama administration being dragged to court for financial loss. So I'll read a bit of it. So the Attorney General and Minister of Justice has dragged a former Minister of Water Resources, Works and Housing, Alhaji Collins Dowda, his successor, Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, and 3 others to court, accusing them of willfully causing financial loss to the state over the Saglami affordable housing project. The state is pressing 52 counts of criminal charges against the accused persons for intentionally misapplying $200 million of state funds by paying for 1,412 affordable housing units at Saglami instead of 5,000 units as Parliament had approved. So there's a lot more in the Daily Graphic. So that's one of the stories. And then Chief Justice's integrity unquestionable, JUSAC President declares. But I would want us to go to the government considering free tertiary education.
Oh, okay.
And that story is on page 16. Yes, well, my initial thoughts to that is, well, yeah, it's great that we're considering free tertiary education, but I'm a little concerned about how we're using or spending whatever money we're committing to education so far. I think we could put it to, we could get a lot more from what we're spending in education.
But Israel, I have a question for you. I mean, before we consider free tertiary education, the question would be SHS, free SHS. Do we really have a handle on that?
Well, I would want to believe that they think they're going to fix that.
You'll fix that and then add this to it. Okay.
All right, so President Akufo-Addo has said the government is considering free education at the tertiary level following the successful implementation of the free senior high school policy. Oh, it's a successful implementation.
Okay, all right, all right. I don't know how my nephew feels about that. He's home till September.
Policy has resulted in some 400,000 more children getting access to SHS education in the country, with the government addressing the infrastructure challenges that came with the policy. So here's a quote. So in Ghana, we've taken the decision that we're going full scale ahead now that we have widened public education at the secondary school level for all and sundry to try and replicate it at the tertiary level too, he said. Okay. So, well, yeah. And let's see which other. Let me just quickly run through the headlines, some of the key headlines in the graphic, and you can find that on page 2 of the Daily Graphic. So, Dampari Ejere begin work today. So, a new IGP or new acting IGP starts work today. And as I told him the other day, look, the task is huge.
It is, isn't it?
It is huge. And then Nigeria receives 4 million vaccine doses from the US.
Yeah.
That's nice. We're waiting for ours because we have a bit, there's some coming our way as well. And then on gender, break barriers that impede success of women entrepreneurs. That's the US ambassador. In sports, GFA must be autonomous, Coach Sampong fires. And then Ni Amano Dodu can act as Unibank receiver until appeal is determined. That's a Court of Appeal ruling. All right. Okay,
anything interesting on the back page?
Oh, on the back page, Techi targets gold medal at Olympics. And you know, Samuel Techi, so Ghana's only medal hopeful, Samuel Techi, says his focus remains winning an Olympic gold for Ghana after its emphatic victory of over Colombia's David Siba in their featherweight fight yesterday. The 20-year-old boxer said he was focused on fulfilling his promise to the nation by going past America's Ragan Duke at the semi-final stage of the competition. The Nash Gold qualified for MTN FA Cup final, and there's Ashanti Gold cruised to the final of the 2020-21 MTN FA Cup after scoring 3 extra time goals to defeat Brecum Chelsea 4-1 in their semi-final clash at the Cape Coast Stadium yesterday.
Okay, so moving on to the Economy Times this morning. Ghana's current account worsens. Government misses fiscal deficit targets, and the mid-year budget review has nothing for Ghanaians. That's according to Ato Forson, former Deputy Minister for Finance. And he talks about the fact that he was looking forward to the government actually reviewing the revenue target, but instead they maintained it. And I think he's talking about unrealistic expectations and the fact that Ghanaians are still having a hard time with money. Another story, the middle page, 5,000 Ghanaians and affluent communities evade taxes. That's according to the Ghana Revenue Authority, and they have identified 5,000 Ghanaians. This is interesting because these 5,000 Ghanaians apparently live in the top 10 affluent communities of the country. So it looks like the rich are evading taxes. Some of them live in East Legon and other affluent areas. The GRA have said that they've been able to identify telephone numbers, and these people don't have TIN numbers, and so they are chasing them. He's also urging Ghanaians who have not filed their tax returns to take advantage of the government's penalty and interest waiver regime to file their taxes so that they don't attract any punishment. Okay. But it's just kind of sad, isn't it?
Yeah. So if they mention affluent communities, what comes to mind is the property rates.
Yeah.
So it turns out that most of these homes or properties, the owners of these properties are not paying
property rate
as much as they should pay.
Okay, so not that they're not paying, but they're not being charged enough.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Okay. So you don't charge them enough. If you charge them 2,000 cedis a year, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah, of course.
They're not going to come forward and say, okay,
we think that you should actually be.
I think I should pay 10,000.
Nobody does.
But that's something that I recall the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, before he became Finance Minister, was saying that that's one of the things he was going looking at.
Yeah.
And it turns out that, well...
we haven't looked at it. We've been busy. We'll get to it at some point.
Let's get to Business and Financial Times. And on the front page, TechPair disturbed by conflicting deficit and debt figures. So I'll move to the story on page 3. It says former Finance Minister said TechPair has called on government to be more candid in presenting figures in the budget which conflict with what is presented by multilateral institutions and international rating agencies, as a practice has implications for the economy on the international lending market. His comments come on the back of macroeconomic figures presented by Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, which are quite different from figures captured in the reports of the International Monetary Fund and other international organizations. So he goes on to list a few things. So according to the mid-year review budget, Mr. Ofori-Atta said the public debt to GDP as for the end of 2021 had hit 76.1%. He further stated that the fiscal deficit during the same period was 13.8%, including the financial sector cleanup cost. However, the IMF Article 4 consultation released last week shows the country's debt to GDP in 2020 was 78.9%, which is 2.8 percentage points higher than in the budget. The budget deficit, including financial sector and energy costs, according to the IMF, also stood at 15.2% within the period, thereby contradicting government's figure of 13.8% mentioned in the budget. All right, so certainly these are issues which would have to be looked at. Also on the front page, GSE, Ghana Stock Exchange, records highest profit in 30-year history, up 78.21% year on year. So that's good news.
Yes.
But, I also want to know from the businesses that are listed whether they're that happy about their own performance as
that's
businesses.
Interesting. I'm sure that's a whole conversation.
Yep. And also, Supreme Court rules BOG's corporate governance directive as lawful. And then on the back page, boss to explore out-of-court settlement option over 10 million CD judgment debt. That's an interesting story. Vodafone CEO wins Africa's most respected CEO. in telecommunications. And we have Patricia Bonai, looking really beautiful.
Yes, isn't she? Yes. Well, good morning to you, Patricia, and congratulations. Shall I move on to the Ghanaian Times then? Okay, so on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, free SHS to produce educated workforce for Ghana's future development. That's according to the President of the Republic of Ghana. Quality education is the only cure for poverty. That's Reverend Intim Fojo. And we talk a lot about education, don't we? And it's interesting that Reverend Fojo is talking about the quality of education, because that has bothered me for a few years now, especially some of the things that are in the curriculum. I don't know if you've looked at the GES curriculum lately, but a few months ago I discovered, I think it was religious and moral education. Right. We were teaching our children, so our 8, 9, 10-year-olds, about gender roles in a family. And of course, under mother's role was listed, you know, to wash, to clean, to cook. And under father's roles was listed, you know, to go to work, to buy food for the house and to give money.
That's outdated.
And so, yes, we do have some very outdated stuff, but it's also worrying because they're shaping the lives of our children. Yeah. So, yes, quality education important, but also quality that is kind of up to date, you know, with what's happening and the changing times that we're in.
But I find it interesting that he's brought up the issue of quality, because there has been a lot of concern about the quality of the education that we're giving our children right now. And there are those who say, well, let's give access and improve quality. And improve quality later. Yeah. So, but it's good that at least he concedes that what we need is quality education, and not just any. And yeah, not just access. Yeah. Okay, so other stories on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. Alhaji Collins Dauda, 4 others charged with causing financial loss to the state in construction of the Saglami housing project. Court dismisses Empire Builders' writ against Topkins Enterprise. There was a couple of interesting stories. So tourists evacuated as fires rage in Turkey resorts. Tourism industry being affected. They're already being hit by COVID, and then, you know, things like this happen. The Ghana Health Service are saying we'll stick by our COVID-19 testing protocol at Kotoka International Airport. Over the past few weeks, there have been some debates about the process and is the word efficacy, if they're doing the right way, the right thing. Well, the GHS said they're sticking by it. This is their story. They're sticking by it. Okay, so there's a feature, Ghana's True and Actual Independence Day is July 1st, 1960. This is by Kosi Kedem. If you're interested in that, you can find it. But, okay, let me go to the story that I was really interested in. Okay. And that's foodstuff prices increase across the country. And we kind of have this headline at some point every year, don't we, Israel? So apparently, if you want to buy Gary this morning, and Olonka used to go for 18 cedis, this morning is going for 23 cedis. Rice has gone up from 150 cedis for the 30-kilogram bag to 165. Maize has gone up, corn has gone up. So your kenke is going to be costing you more. You're going to get less wache for the same amount of money, less check for the same amount of money. And of course, this happens every time, you know, fuel costs and all that goes up. You mentioned kenke, and what I would want to say to that is, if you said the kenke is going to cost you more. If you don't want
you get smaller balls.
If you don't want it to cost you more, you're going to have to deal with a smaller ball.
The smaller balls. Let me just quickly do the middle spread. Winneba University admits 10,515 students to pursue various programs. That's an interesting figure. It means a lot more of us are getting tertiary education, which is good. And the Angolan president will be paying an official 3-day visit to Ghana. So exciting stuff.
You talk about access to education, university education, and I'd want to, again, bring up the issue of quality.
Yes.
We tend to have a situation where there are a lot of people going through the university, but they end
coming out with nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So. Coming out with nothing.
All right. Daily Guide, it says, also has a story, 200 million Saglemi scandal, two Mahama ministers charged, and President explains education funding. Samiuku heads NLA. And, well, there's a cartoon on page 3. Oh, and okay. It says the Zazu sack. Oh. And there's somebody standing on top of some building, says, come see what them do for your back. And there's supposed JoyNews song, Semi One Taban and Kametu Ako
Me want taba. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So there's an editorial in the Daily Guide. It says, for the police, a new dawn. And I'm sure it has to do with the new
IGP.
Dr. George Ekufu-Dampare taking over. And then this other story, in foreign news, Nigeria's Super Cop, Abba Cherry, finally suspended over FBI fraud allegations.
Yes.
Hush Puppy,
yeah.
Story.
Who apparently was laundering money, I think, for some country.
One of the interesting things I heard about that story, apparently there was one guy who blew the whistle. Well, there was some fraud that they committed together, and apparently the guy wasn't happy about something. So he called the victim and told the victim that this is what we did. And then apparently Hush Puppy called him and said, I'll get you arrested. He got him arrested.
Oh, okay.
So he got him arrested, and then the police officer, this guy, took photos of the guy after he had been thrown in jail, took photos of him in jail and sent it to Hush Puppy and said, I'll put the money in this account.
Wow. I see. Okay. Interesting.
Okay, so yeah, that'll be it for me.
That's it for you?
In the Daily Guide.
Okay, so let's move to the Daily Statesman. And again, President Akufo-Addo charges African leaders, let's fight financial crime. So I was listening to him yesterday during the news. He was talking about the fact that when it comes to trade, especially when it comes to African countries, we're treated differently. Suddenly, the rules don't apply to us. Courtesy is not given, and all kinds of things. And it really makes you kind of look inward, doesn't it, about how we present ourselves and how, therefore, we are treated. So interesting one. Let's fight financial crimes. President Akufo-Addo charges African leaders, and hopefully that will start here in Ghana, the fighting of financial crimes.
Okay.
Okay, other stories. Samuel Uku appointed new Director General of NLA. Bawumia calls for deepened Christian-Muslim cooperation. This story is interesting because you remember what happened at Wesley Girls again. It really brought to the front sometimes how intolerant we can be.
Yeah.
Quite a good amount of religious intolerance still happening in Ghana. And it's interesting because sometimes it's Christians against Christians, isn't it? And it's Muslims against Muslims. And then, of course, there's also the crossover. But that story is on page 3 of the Daily Statesman.
We've lived together so peacefully over the years.
We
have.
have.
Sure we can't continue to live peacefully.
Do you wonder ever if it's just superficial peace, or if because you really don't know how peaceful a situation is until something threatens it?
Well, I'd want to think that so far so good.
Okay, well, that's optimistic. If you love Prison Break, like I did, Wentworth Miller reveals his autism diagnosis, which is, it's interesting that it's awesome, actually, that he's sharing it, because a lot of, we still need a lot of education on autism, don't we, and how to deal with it. And so nice of him there to share his story. I think that's it for the Daily Statesman, Israel.
Okay, let's go to the Finder. And the Finder has a number of stories on the front page. Dr. Dampare officially takes office as IGP. And quality education is best cure for poverty. Reverend Team Fojo, Collins Dada, 4 others charged, accused of misapplication of $200 million causing financial loss in Saglemi housing project. Unity of Muslims, Christians, key to development. That's Dr. Bawumia. Ghana is widening access to education for all. That's President Akufo-Addo. And then on this page 2, Tema Motorway experiences disruption to traffic flow up to August. And it's important for those of you who are stepping out. The Ghana Highway Authority Saturday informed road users that the Tema Accra stretch of the motorway, so Tema to Accra stretch of the motorway would from August 1, 20 to 22nd experience some minimum to maximum disruption to traffic flow. A statement signed by Mr. ABK Nuhu, the acting chief executive of the Ghana Highway Authority, said the disruption was necessary to allow for repair works to be undertaken on the damaged beam of the Shaman overpass. The areas to be affected include Accra-bound traffic and traffic from Shaman towards Accra. The statement advised motorists to follow the traffic diversion signs to be placed at designated sections to facilitate free movement of traffic through the construction area. So really, for those of you coming from Tema and Ashaman heading towards Accra, be mindful that you may experience some traffic delays.
Okay, well, let's move on to the publisher. There's an interesting lifestyle piece, Israel. I thought the married man will help me heal from my heartbreak. And it's a story of a woman who whose heart was broken and then decided to date a married man, somehow hoping that he would be a source of comfort and healing. I have one word for comfort and healing. That's Jesus. Nobody else, man. Nobody else, especially not a married man. But if that story piques your interest, it's on page 10 of the Ghanaian publisher. Front headlines on the front page. Awuku heads NLA, NPP stakeholders hail appointment. Education is key to prosperity. UTAG begins nationwide strike today. We'll have that conversation a little later on as they withdraw their services.
No, the statement actually said
I'll
redraw.
behave, yes. So I've been Googling redraw. I'm wondering if perhaps it's a new word that we should learn that maybe means something.
Let's go to the custodian. Akufo-Addo trusts Samuel Wuku as NLA boss. Don't poison minds of citizens against government. Afeo Makin tells NDC.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, very interesting.
Okay.
And I'm sure the NDC would want to say same if they happen to be in power.
Of course.
All right, and then let's build robust systems against financial crimes, President to African leaders. And quality education is the best cure for poverty. Hearing Fojo on that. On the back page, Raving Sun, that's what the Olympia's ex-protest means to her. And as Emmanuel Lomote misses Emian Strip to judge shield due to injury. Arsenal star Thomas Partey damages ankle during friendly against Chelsea. All right, so that's it.
That's it. Well, according to the Republic Press this morning, COVID-19 third wave, Ridge Hospital ICU is full. 16 beds and apparently full up with patients who have underlying conditions, diabetes, hypertension, and so they're a little bit worried. Of course, as soon as we hear that ICUs are getting full, we are worried because we know what that looks like when we kind of lose control of COVID-19. So remember to stay safe, mask up, wash your hands, social distance, stay away from everybody, basically. Just kidding. Be like Israel. But should we do our online stories this morning? Okay, so maybe we can head on to My Joy Online. Awesome. Okay, Israel.
So Saglemi, contractor was paid $179 million for $64 million work.
That's like over 100 and what? 150?
Yeah.
$115
million more. Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. And the National Cathedral to cost about $200 million. Secretary for Board of Trustees.
Oh, you've reminded me. It was in one of the papers that we're going to use all the confiscated rosewood to build the National Cathedral.
Yes. So, do you have a problem with that?
I do not. I'm very excited that we're using, I don't say illegal stuff to build, but you know what I mean. I mean, that wood has been cut and everything. So instead of exporting it, we're going to use it to build a temple.
It's also illegal if we're using it to build a temple, the Lord's dwelling.
Of course. Otherwise, it would just rot away, won't it? So don't forget to donate your 100 cedis a month, by the way, if you want to see the... I'll behave. Okay, never mind. Other stories on myjoyonline.com.
So Accra to Motorway to experience 21-day disruption to traffic flow beginning on August 1, which I just brought to you.
Yes.
And then we're initiators of 100
CD
National Cathedral donation campaign, not government. That's the Secretariat. And corrupt heads of public institutions should not go scot-free. Haruna agrees to special prosecutor. 3 SHS uncompleted structures converted to classrooms at Prempeh College. And claims of fuel shortage at our depots unfounded, as Bost replies tanker drivers. Okay. Elmina fishermen to continue observing close season as punishment. How are Kumsing? And that's a very interesting story. So, it turns out that the fisheries minister was at Elmina to give some goodies to them, food items, and they rejected it. The fishermen rejected because they said, the fisheries minister said, when the closed season or the season is opened, you can't engage in those illegal ways of fishing, such as light fishing and all that. And no, they don't want that. They want to continue
with the illegal
fishing. And so if that's the reason you're bringing
take
rice,
so we don't want the
take
rice.
it away.
Okay.
So, well, they packed it all into and sent it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
and sent her packing.
And
interesting.
So she also goes to open the sea.
Open the sea.
And then she says, okay, so the people of Elmina, they're not I'm going to open it for them.
Thank you. You're under punishment.
You're under punishment.
And so you change your
We're not going to get, so you're not going to get premixed fuel and all the other, logistics that government would typically support the fishermen. But it turns out that the Elmina fishermen, they went to catch their fishes.
Oh, there you go then.
They did.
I'm not too sure if that was the best way of dealing with it. I think we need to patrol and enforce, as always, just enforcement. Yeah. And perhaps some education, because they do realize that if we don't take care of our waters, at some point we're not going to have fish.
But one of the arguments they're making is there's so much happening. You see all these ships on the high seas, and they're doing the illegal
and they're getting away with it.
And then you're telling us
Exactly. And those are the bigger vessels, sometimes, and these fishermen are using. So it's difficult to see, these big vessels doing stuff illegally, and then they're being asked to stop.
Yep.
The question is, who is benefiting? But maybe we'll not have that conversation today. Are we done with online?
Yes, I believe we're done
with
okay.
Okay, so we're going to get into some sports in a little bit. Don't go anywhere. This is still the AM show with Enimwa Enimado and
Israel Aye. And we're bringing you a whole lot more. We're going to the universities to find out if the strike has actually begun. And the lecturers are withdrawing their services or redrawing their services, as they said. And then we're also going to be talking about, we're going to have a conversation about breasts.
Feeding.
Breastfeeding,
yes.
Exactly. I was coming to that.
Okay, it was taking you a minute.
Feeding.
Breastfeeding, yes.
So we're going to have that conversation as well. And then National Science and Maths with Science Tech Fair. So do stay tuned in. We'll be back in a minute.
49 years, Ghana has been reeling in their participation in the Olympic Games. For 29 years, Ghana has not won any single medal in their participation in the Olympic Games. However, a young man at age 20 just rose to the occasion and has won a medal for the country, beating a man who is 32 years older than him, or 12 years older than him rather. And it means that whatever happens in the semi-final, Samuel Churchill will be coming back to Ghana with a medal. Accra House of Oak is on a hunt to win 2 titles this season, as they've made it to the final of the MTN FA Cup after defeating Midiama SC 3-0 in the semi-final at Cape Coast Sports Stadium. I am Muftau Nabila Ablai, and this is AM Sports on the AM Show. Let's start with MTN FA Cup stories, where Ashanti Gold, they cruised to the final of the 2020-21 MTN Ghana FA Cup after an extra-time goal, secured a 4-1 win over 10-man Brekum Chelsea. A pair of goals in the first half of extra time gave the Miners the upper hand after the first half ended 1-1. Courtesy Stephen Sappho, who grabbed the equalizer for Brekum Chelsea. Let's go for the highlights at the Cape Coast Sports Stadium. And they will come up against Accra House of Oak in the final after the defeating the 2015 FA Cup champions 3-0 in the other semi-final. The Phobians are on a hunt for a double after goals from Benjamin Efutu, Isaac Mensah, and Daniel Benya set them up against the Miners for a coveted crown slated for August 18.
It's settled and it's over now. Isaac Mensah.
Now let's hear from the coach of House of Oak, Samuel Bodu, who has set sights on winning the double.
Playing with the Ashgold is a good team. I don't think it will be easy, but we don't have a problem with Ashgold. All the problem that we have with the 3 points.
This time there's no 3 points at stake. It's a trophy that's at stake.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you
when you get a 3 points, definitely you get something. So I need that 3 points. Seriously.
It's a done deal.
No, not really. But what I say is I need the 3 points.
All right, so you're welcome once again to the AM show. My name is Israel Lion. I'm here with
Enimwa Enim Ado.
Okay, so we're getting into the conversation straight away, and it has to do with the UTAG strike. The lecturers are starting a strike today, and we'll be going onto the campuses to find out if indeed the strike has begun. But before that, we'll also be speaking with the stakeholders. We'll be speaking with the UTAG executives themselves. So here's a letter on your screen. Is a letter that they've shared, which we're going to be sharing with you as well.
Okay, let me just try and grab that letter because I think the... Okay, there it is. Just go through it. Dear UTAG member, withdrawal of teaching and related activities on member campuses. We write on behalf of the National Executive Committee of UTAG to inform and/or remind you of the intended strike action by UTAG. By this notice, all campuses are to withdraw all teaching and related activities, namely teaching, examinations, invigilation, marking of examination scripts, processing of examination results, etc., from Monday, the 2nd of August 2021 until further notice. We encourage all members on our various campuses to comply with this directive. Thank you very much, and is signed by Professor Charles Marfo, the National President, and Dr. Eric Keke Abavari, the National Secretary.
All right, great. So that's the letter. That's indicating that they're starting their strike. But we have been joined by Vice President of UTAG, Peter Enti. Thank you very much. He's Executive Director, rather, for the Institute for Education Studies. So thank you very much. Now, let's get on to the issues that are at play right now, which has to do with the strike by the lecturers. They are saying that they're embarking on the strike essentially has to do with money. But for them, they're not quite saying that they want more money. They're saying they want to be restored to their previous position. What are the issues at stake right now as far as you're concerned?
Right, thank you very much, and good morning to your viewers. We've been following this issue since it started, and we think that the basic challenge is about some kind of misunderstanding between the UTAG and the government, and it's simply because if you look at the basic concern of UTAG, it's got to do with the position of government on how much they have been reduced, their salaries have been reduced based on some adjustments that have been made, and we think that
Yes, Mr. Enti, please go on. All right, we seem to have some challenges with this connection, but we'll also get to speak with the UTAG themselves so that we can get to understand exactly what the issues are. As I indicated here, would also be on the campuses of the University of Ghana and KNUST and get to find out how the strike is impacting, if indeed the strike has started. Yeah. But yes, the issues, if you flesh them out, at the end of the day, it basically has to do with money.
Of course. Always money.
Yeah. But in the case of UTAG, they're saying that, okay, it's not like we want more money. It's something that is due us. And they quote the salaries that the entry-level salaries for a lecturer, and they're saying it's woefully inadequate. And what they're asking for, it's like twice what they're currently being paid. I'm not sure how government can pull that off. Especially with, and you know, within the constraints we find ourselves as an economy. But yeah, I'm sure there are others too who will look at what has been given to the Article 71 holders and say, okay, if it's possible with them, it should be
possible. I mean, I think really people just want to fight for what they deserve, you know what I mean? And of course, it's quite tedious, you know, being a lecturer, you know, working on campus and teaching and all of that. And you kind of just want to be paid what you're owed or what you deserve or what you've gone to school for. Because there's a lot of school, isn't it, to become, you know, to teach at that level. So is it reasonable? You know, it's the question. We'll find that out, won't we? Okay, and we have the executive secretary for the NLC. He's on the phone, Israel.
All right.
So I'll hand you over to him.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Fusua Samwa. So where are we as far as the strike is concerned? I'm sure the NLC is going to say straight away that it's an illegal strike. Is it? Hello, Ms. All right, we lost Mr. Fusua Samwa, so we'll get back to him. But typically, as I was indicating, you know, the NLC is an illegal strike. But it's possible that this one may not be an illegal strike.
An illegal strike.
So
okay.
Would love to find out from you. So, Mr. Anti, I'm told we have you back on Zoom.
Yeah.
So you were putting out the issues as far as you're concerned. Yes, please, Mr. Anti. Okay.
I think there's a bit of a delay.
Or probably a challenge.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Anti.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So let's go back to the conversation. And you had started, you were making the points for us, the issues, as you understand them.
Yeah, so there have been concerns raised by UTAG over some salary discrepancies that have been coming and going for some time now. And the understanding was that the government would be able to deal with that particular challenge by now. But it seems that the concerns as raised by UTAG, which has to do with a certain level of reduction in their basic salary as compared to what they used to earn before the introduction of the single spine, and when the single spine was introduced, there was some level of increment in that. So now there's that kind of discrepancy. According to UTAG, again, if you look at their statement, they indicated that the reduction occurred as early as last year, and they have been calling on government to, if they will not increase their salaries and other working conditions, they should just restore them back to what they used to earn, which is somewhere $2,084 in January 2012. But that has been the bone of contention as we speak now. And government has given them some level of assurance that would be done, but they think that it's not being carried out as government has indicated, and that they would need to go on this particular industrial, or they have to take this particular industrial action. But I need to make this point that anybody discussing working conditions of teachers at this time should use a lot of tact. Because we have to understand the dynamics of the period that we are in. We are in a period where COVID has disrupted the academic calendar. We are in a period where teachers would have to still continue to teach despite the outbreak of the pandemic. And you note that interacting with people, as it has been established by the science of the virus, is one sure way of contracting the virus. So if you have a lecturer on campus who interacts with over 100 to 200 and sometimes 300 students, and you are going on a negotiation with such a body, you have to use a lot of tact to ensure that there is a level of stability in the mind of the person who is going to deliver the education to your student, so that they will not feel aggrieved and embark on some of these things. Because at the end of the day, it is the students that are going to lose. And this particular semester is very important because this is the last semester for those who will be graduating.
Okay.
And if we are not careful, ideally, we should be having, we should be in the in the beginning of the next academic calendar by this time. But students are still in their second semester, and
essentially you're making the point that
is not good for the academic calendar.
All right,
so
essentially
we need government to...
Essentially, you're making the point that we can't afford any more disruptions to the academic calendar as we have it now.
Exactly, and that's why I said that anybody going to negotiation with people working in the education and health sector at this time should use a lot of tact, because they're already stressed. There's a lot of anxiety surrounding the work they are doing now. And if you go on negotiation with them and you do not show good faith and you do not show that you care about the sacrifices they are making, you are going to put the students into a lot of problem, and that is what we're experiencing now. I have to also make this point that it is not only UTAG that is on strike on the university campuses.
Mr. Enti, I'd want to come to that later, but I'd want to get onto the line again and speak with Dr. Samuel Nkuban, UTAG president. Thank you very much for joining us. So we want to hear from you what your issues are. Please lay them all out.
Thank you. Good morning and good morning to your listeners. I'm president for University of Ghana. This is the UTAG president. It might sound like the national president. Let me clarify that.
Okay.
So basically, what it is that in 2018...
No, before all of that, are you actually starting the strike? Have you actually started the strike?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, that is a yes. And the reason is that from as far back as 2018, UTAG tabled for consideration a condition of service document to government through Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. And it took for nearly a year back and forth that they were studying the document. So we never had any engagements all through 2019, literally. And so it's been 3 years down the line. We started effectively engaging this document, which is in fact dated, because under normal circumstances, every 2 years, we should renegotiate our condition of service. And so since over the last 3 months, we've been having a series of meetings, and many of the times, on the government side, either they don't form a quorum or the representatives from some of the units are not in the position, or they really don't have the locus to be able to make firm commitments by way of pronouncing figures that commit government to the fact that they are serious about our concern. And so it's been back and forth like that. And finally, on Friday, we had a meeting at which the Minister of Finance and the Deputy were there. And the indication is that there isn't money to be able to honor something like this. And so it looks like we've come to the end of the road.
Essentially, you're saying that government agrees that, well, they should take care of your needs, except the money is not available.
No, they have not made any such firm commitment. That is what I mean. The question is simply, where do we expect that they will get such money to pay? That is huge, and that so that is it. There is no offer made. There is no commitment made, and it's just as blanket as that. And we don't think that is good enough, and it's irritated quite a good lot of our members.
Dr. Nkuban, what exactly are you asking?
We simply are asking for a restoration of our condition of service as was the case in 2012. And the background is this, that during His Excellency Kufuor's administration, we reached a roadmap agreement that said that by the time we are in 2008, the entry point of a lecturer with a PhD in terms of basic salary would be the equivalent of $1,500.
All right.
That was achieved. And then fast forward, we were metamorphosed into the attempt to do single spine pay policy, which was supposed to be rationalizing salary scales and ensuring that at least some gaps are bridged between the top and the down. And so following that, in 2012, we got an agreement of an interim market premium. And if you were to add in 2012 the market premium, which was supposed to be 114% of basic salary, to the then $1,500 as an entry point of a lecturer, then the lecturer was valued at $2,086 per month.
All right.
So that is both market premium, the interim market premium, and basic salary. now, from 2013, because the market premium was interim, they put a freeze to it, so it remained constant until now. On grounds that they needed to do a market labor survey, that gives us a sense of where truly we should be placed on the spine, as well as who is deserving of market premium and who is not deserving of market premium. Because of that freeze, as we speak, the market premium component, which was supposed to be 114% of basic salary we were enjoying in 2012, is now 54%. And also by virtue of the fact that the CD dollar depreciation thing, the value of what we earn now in terms of CD equivalent is dropped. And so if you were to add the market premium component and the basic salary component as what we receive in CD terms, it sums up to just around $997, which means that we've lost over $1,086. So the implication is that what we have lost is even greater than what is given to us to try and live life with.
Yeah.
And in that case, it doesn't make meaningful life for us, and that is where we are. So we simply are asking government, under the current circumstances, kindly restore us back to the 2012 levels where we were getting 114% of basic salary and an entry point of $1,500 for a lecturer with PhD.
Okay.
And then we'll pick it from there. So we are not asking for any increment. We are not asking for something outside of what we were already enjoying.
All right.
And so by labor, we don't think that it is okay to make somebody worse off, and by as much as $1,086. If we were to be restored to that level, I don't think anybody would have any reason to continue to be on strike or to withdraw some of these services that we render to our country.
All right. Dr. Nkuman, please hold on for me. I have on the line Ofuso Samwa, who's the Executive Secretary of the National Labour Commission. Thank you very much, Mr. Ofuso Samwa. So these are the issues that UTAG has raised. What has been the intervention of the NLC all this while?
Well, I listened to your doctor, and I've been following what's going on in the discussion, negotiations, and so on. The truth of the matter is, they appeared before the commission some time ago, and in the course of the deliberations, the parties decided to go and continue with negotiations. And like you said, there have been several meetings between themselves, the Ministry of Education and the Labour Relations as well, represented by the various LWG, CVC, and all that. And until last week, negotiations were still going on, and we were getting the assurance that things were moving and that they are likely to settle on something. Unfortunately, we got the information late Thursday, confirmed on Friday, that they could not get to a satisfactory position acceptable to the two of them. So since they were before the commission, ordinarily one would expect that if you are unable to settle, you will come back to the commission. Since that was the assurance that was given to us before we left. But in the matters that went on, we had earlier already to us that if they were unable to settle by the 31st of July, on the 2nd of August, they will embark on a strike, a nationwide strike.
So essentially they had notified you? They had notified the commission?
Oh, yes, they sent a notice. But you see, the notice was, we are still negotiating. But if we are unable, the notice properly should come after you are unable. Because while negotiations are going on, if you issue such notice, it is more or less a threat. If you don't do this for me during negotiations, I will go on strike. You see how it works. So anyway, we received their notice, and around that time we wrote to the ministry to find out how they were working to avert the strike. We didn't get to that point. So when we got the notice that the strike is imminent, I have had discussion with members of the commission. Because it was over the weekend, we did that report. And this morning, we are going to do something about it.
Okay, when you say you're going to do something about what exactly?
You know, the commission is established to resolve labor disputes.
Yeah.
And promote good labor relations. So that is just what we are going to do.
But you're not going to declare their strike illegal?
Oh, no, that is for the commission to determine. If it is illegal, it will be declared. If it is legitimate, why not? But the most important thing is we always urge parties to negotiate in good faith. And when it comes to work, the commission goes into the other part, that is the dispute resolution, by settling the matter in some form of way. So, yes.
So from my understanding, the commission is going to meet today to determine the way forward. Is that it?
There's going to be an informal thing. But to determine when to invite them.
All right.
And the issues to be settled. So by close of this, all the parties will hear from them.
All right.
By close of this thing.
All right.
JoyNews will also hear from them.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Fosu.
Thank you for partnering us in the dispute.
All right. So let's go to Peter Anti. So you've heard from the National Labour Commission. They're not going to rush to declare the strike an illegal strike as yet. The commission is going to meet and they're going to decide how they're going to go about it. It appears at this point we're not seeing any immediate resolution to the issue. Ms. Anti. Ms. Anti, you'd have to unmute for us.
Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, so I'm
sure you heard the National Labour Commission Executive Secretary.
Yes. I was saying that I like the position of the NLC this time around. We didn't want a situation whereby we're going to see that kind of antagonism and all that back and forth with UTAG. So it is important that they are NLC is saying that they are not going to declare this as an illegal strike, and then they would then proceed. They would have then proceeded to the courts and then force them to go back to the classroom. I think that they should go through the path that they want to use, do that kind of informal meeting, and then and try to reason with the leadership of UTAG so that they will be able to reach a compromise. My position is that you should be able to handle this tactfully, because if you are not careful and everybody decides to take an entrenched position, what is going to happen is that the students are going to suffer, because we have students that need to graduate for others to be admitted. And already we have a distorted academic calendar. So any kind of action that would lead to an entrenched position should not be encouraged by anybody. We should try and appreciate the position of UTAG and find ways and means to talk them out of the strike, so that when they get to the negotiation tables again, the rightful thing would be done.
Okay, we still have Dr. Samuel Nkuban, who's the UTAG president, University of Ghana, still on the line. Dr. Nkuban, you've heard from the executive secretary of the National Labour Commission.
Yeah.
I'm sure you like the tone. He's not saying that your strike is illegal. That should be heartwarming.
Also because we duly notified them, and then
even though
July, we did send them a reminder.
Yeah, even though he was saying, Dr. Nkuban, he's saying that what you issued, which was supposed to be the notification, sounded more like a threat, because you were saying we are in negotiations, and if things don't go well, we're embarking on a strike. He was hoping that you finish the negotiations and then communicates that we finished the negotiations and this is the position we're taking.
Yes, so the indication is that it's because, like I indicated from the beginning, from 2018 until now, the back and forth had just become unreasonably overburdening. And you know, our membership cut across all the country. We have people having to travel all the way to Takwa to attend meetings only for government side not to form a quorum, and then we have to go back. And they call you for another meeting, they send somebody who doesn't have the locus to be able to make firm commitments. And we go back without reaching any results. And it's been back and forth for as long as that. And many of the times we have notified our this body that this is the state of affairs. And in June, we served notice that if by close of July we were not getting any firm commitment, then it meant that we had come to the end of the road.
All right. Now, you talk about the figure that you agreed, which was $1,500 for the entry level, plus the market premium, 114%. And you're looking at $2,098, I believe. Would you insist on the dollar weighting? Because that could present a challenge. We're in Ghana, and where our currency is the cedi. Would you insist that you use that $2,000 weighting?
So the point is that the agreement is this is in dollars payable in cedi equivalent. And so it's as simple as doing the mathematics of what the cedi equivalent is and say that this is the figure in cedi.
So I was actually thinking it was for a specific period. So at the time that they agreed that it was 1,500, it was for that specific period, and they shouldn't run until now.
The point is that it had to be getting the usual annual increment after 2008. So the roadmap was that by the time we are in 2008, the entry point will be cedi equivalent of the $1,500.
All right.
And so if in 2009 we got an average basic salary increase of 10%, then it will no longer be the 1,500. The 10% will affect that.
But you were actually hoping for 10% or an increment on the dollar.
Second.
Were you actually anticipating a 10% increment on the dollar?
I mean, all the annual increments would be on the dollar. And so the exposition, when we did that actuarial analysis, assuming that that was the case, and 13 years down the line, then you are talking about a depreciation of over 130%, which meant that from 2008 until 2021, the entry point of a lecturer should have been somewhere a little over $3,000 to the equivalent.
All right.
But of course, that is not what we are asking for. What we are asking for is that what it was in 2012 just restore us back to that point, and then we can begin a conversation as to
the increases. All right. You still please continue to hold on for us. Yeah. We're going on to the university campuses. We're starting with the KNUST, where Nane Aljima is standing by. Hello, Nane Aljima. What's the situation there on the campus? Lecturers are saying that they are withdrawing their services. How is this impacting, or is it showing yet? All right, we have lost Nane Aljima. But we also have Manuel Kranting, who's on the University of Ghana campus, and so we'll be bringing you the updates. But yes, anyway, we've heard the issues that have been raised by the lecturers, UTAG, and then we've also heard from the National Labour Commission Executive Secretary. Yeah. Well, the lecturers are happy, and IES thinks that that's heartwarming, a better approach. Not to declare their strike illegal, but want to listen to them. Because you don't want to get antagonistic at this point in time.
No, you don't. I mean, and I'm not too sure who it was that said that, they had hoped for a negotiation as opposed to a threat. But I think that we're human. And from 2008 running through to 2012 and 2021, if your salary was supposed to be something and it has actually gone below that, I don't really feel that you're in the mood to necessarily negotiate, especially when, perhaps off the record responses from government have been, where do you expect us to get the money from? We don't care where you get the money from. We provide a service for you and we expect to get paid. Now I'm listening to PhD holders, negotiate for $1,500. And it's actually quite sad, because PhD holders all over the world are paid pretty good. Yeah. You know what I mean? So for a PhD holder to be negotiating for $1,500, $2,000, it also ties into the quality of education conversation. If we want a certain quality, then we have to be willing to pay a certain premium for it. We have to have people who have been educated in Harvard or Oxford or Yale want to come home and come and teach. I know they say teaching is a calling. And so it's something that you do, but you still need to feed your family, you know, and you still need to have your pensions paid, you know. So this is a conversation. Every time we talk about teacher salaries and nurses' salaries, I get so riled up because sometimes it's just so unfair. You don't like to see people fight for what they deserve. You kind of just want it to be quite straightforward. You promised us this, it's 10 years later, you know, just deliver. Let's not do all of this. And mind you, this morning there's students who are in school whose parents are probably, you know, like tomato sellers or makola women who have struggled to get that school fees money. You know what I mean? I mean, school fees is maybe what, 2,500, 3,000 cedis a semester. For somebody, this is months and months and months of hard work to get their children, you know, into school, to get an education. And then Monday morning, here we are, you know, teachers are on strike. You know, the kids are probably anxious. You know, some of them are probably happy because it means that they can chill because they obviously may not understand the ramifications long term. Exactly, there is that too. You know, but it's a lot of different things. But for me, I feel like let's come to the table. Let's work on paying reasonable salaries. You know what I mean? So I think we're crossing over to Legon.
Yes.
University of Ghana. Manuel Kranting is there. Hi, Manuel. Good morning. Manuel. Okay, that was the frequency, like what was that? But we'll be crossing over to University of Ghana campus soon because we want to know there as well. Okay, there he is. Okay, hi Manuel.
Hi Anymore, good morning.
Oh, the lecture hall is empty.
Absolutely. You know, a look and feel of how a lecture hall, which has a capacity of about 250 students, is this morning totally empty. Well, if you know the University of Ghana's schedule very well, its lectures start from 7:30 a.m. And so, properly speaking, by this time, this class should have been full to capacity. But the opposite is actually what is happening, giving you an indication that indeed the strike of the University Teachers Association of Ghana, as was so declared sometime last week to take effect this morning, is now in full force. And so there's absolutely nobody here. I see a couple of the students while I walked into the lecture hall standing outside a bit stranded because indeed the indication is that for some of them, they did not even know that their lecturers were striking effective this morning. And so some of them are even sitting outside. You can see them with their heads on the table. I spoke to a couple of them outside, and you can see them having a conversation. Be jaw-jawing and thinking whether or not their lecturers are indeed going to come for the lectures. I'll just try and get a bit closer to them this morning and then speak to them about where they're coming from and why they're still, you know, around here. But I think you can come a bit closer so we have a quick conversation. Right, so these are some of the students at the University of Ghana who had lectures this morning. And for them, they were really hopeful of having to meet their lecturers in the classrooms. But that doesn't seem to be happening. Worse off is that there is another strike which is currently in force, being organized by the Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana. So their strike is sort of coinciding with the strike of the University Teachers Association of Ghana. Good morning, what's your name?
I'm Deborah.
Deborah, so you're a student of the University of Ghana, correct?
Yes, please.
Which level?
Level 100.
Level 100. You had a lecture this morning?
Yes, please.
Okay, tell me about the lecture. Is it happening? Why are you outside?
Yeah, I think it's been cancelled. Yes, I came with the hopes of coming for tutorials. We were told on Friday that there will be tutorials towards the preparation of the exams, but it seems it's not coming on, so yeah.
Was there any communication to you whatsoever?
Yeah, we got a letter. It was sent on a group chat, but I just hoped that there would be lectures, so I just came to find out.
So you are hoping against hope that, but what course are you reading? And I mean, are you done with your coursework for the semester? How is this going to affect you?
I'm doing biomedical engineering, and we are not done. Yes, like we have a lot to cover, and since we are just using 6 weeks for learning, we have a lot undone, and they were planning to use this week to finish the things they couldn't finish. But since the lectures are not coming on, I don't know how we'll be able to finish them. Yeah.
I'll come back for us to talk about how this will affect you. And you've mentioned the 6 weeks, and there's a peculiar explanation to why the University of Ghana is doing 6 weeks for lectures and not the original 13 weeks as you have it. I'll give that to you. But what's your name? Etonam, I saw you sitting out there, you're reading yourself. You seem to have already taken the stuff into your own hands, and you are learning ahead of the lectures, correct?
Yes, please.
Okay, so tell me, what course do you read and why are you out this early?
Okay, so initially, the normal routine was to be 13 weeks of study. But due to the COVID-19 and then its outbreak and everything, it has been reduced to 6 weeks. And even with that 6 weeks, we are not able to cover everything in class. Some topics are being given to us as reading assignments. So it is up to you, the student. If you don't take on the extracurricular activity on yourself to learn more, you are really going to be left behind.
So even before the coming of the strike, there was a shortfall in terms of contact hours and so on?
Yeah, probably, but it was limited, more of online and then less of face-to-face. But with this second semester, I'm a level 100 student. So with this second semester, we've had more face-to-face than online lectures, yes.
And you are hoping that this morning you'll have your lectures to teach you, but that's not happening.
Yeah, hopefully, but if it doesn't come on, we still learn on our own.
Okay, let me speak to this lady. Well, this lady tells me she's coming from Kwabinya. You can confirm that, correct?
Yes, please.
So you're coming from Kwabinya. It means that you're not a resident on campus?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you had a lecture this morning?
Yes, I don't know if it's coming on, but for me, I thought it was coming on.
Okay. So you prepared and came?
Yes, please.
Tell me, what did you find when you went to the class?
Nobody was there.
Say again?
Nobody was there, please.
Nobody was in a class? Yes. But are you done with your coursework and so on?
Yes, please, majority.
You're done with majority of it, but you have exams this week, correct?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
So this week is supposed to be your revision week?
Yes, please. Yes.
And then you're not having like lectures around?
No, please.
Okay. And so this is just the situation here at the University of Ghana. The students sort of walk in and walk out because of the absence of the lecturers. The lecturers are demanding what they call proper conditions of service, as you would have it in 2012. The single spine salary structures adjustment put them a little over $2,000 at entry level for lecturers. But that is not the situation here. Now they are demanding that must happen, or else they are not returning to the class. And indeed, they are not in a class. From here at the University of Ghana, reporting for JoyNews. If you can hear me back in the studio anymore, back to you.
All right, well, thank you for that, Manuel. And Israel, you were asking, how come some of the students are not aware that there's a strike going on. But I quite remember when I was in university, it's a completely different ecosystem.
Really?
So you were asking, don't they watch the news? Don't they follow? Nah, fam.
It's also on social media.
We're listening to music and chilling. We're not watching.
No, but the news is also on social media.
I mean, it is. But then also remember that there's also a lot of, uncertainty. So you hear that there's a strike, but perhaps if you haven't received official notification, you kind of still want to go to school.
But then I'd also want to think that, well, you're on WhatsApp, WhatsApp group for your class, so some information comes through, you discuss, and then you decide that, okay.
The discussing is the thing, because some Kwame somewhere also, nah, Charlie, will they come school? Like, the lecture would come. And then it becomes, I can relate to that.
Otherwise, it could also be that, they want to meet someone on campus.
Oh, yes. And I mean, most importantly, I think that the best thing to do during seasons like this is to come to school and study, so that you're not actually missing out, because they do have exams soon.
Okay.
So.
All right, so we're going to be continuing with the show, but we've been checking with Nane Ojima at KNUST. We couldn't get to speak with him, but he tells us that indeed the strike is in full force on the campus of KNUST as well. So, we're taking a break, and when we come back, there's a conversation about breastfeeding feeding.
You have to pause, don't you? Yes, well, the Ghana Health Service has shown that there's a decline in breastfeeding. Less than 50% of newborn babies are being breastfed. If you're a mother, that's alarming because you know the value and the importance of breastfeeding your children, and it sets them up for life. So why are we not breastfeeding our children as much as we should? What is causing this terrifying...
The breastfeeding is good for the children.
Mm-hmm.
What are the nutritional values for the adults?
Oh, well, there's no nutritional value for adults in terms of breastfeeding, but as a mom, when you breastfeed, it contracts your uterus, so your uterus is able to come back to its original size. It also helps you with shedding the weight that you may have gained during pregnancy. And there's also the release of the bonding hormone oxytocin, which helps you to bond with your child. So they're very, very important benefits. There are no benefits to the fathers, except, of course, watching as the woman you love breastfeeds the child that you love. We'll be back. This is the AM show. Welcome back. This is the AM show here on Joy News. And we're having a conversation now about breastfeeding. If you're alive and you're watching, chances are you were breastfed as a baby. Fondest memories from both mothers and children, because it's such a season of bonding, and those first few days are so special and so important that we give our babies the best start in life. And it's always been very interesting that the body can produce what our children need when we have them. Unfortunately, new data is revealing that less than 50% of newborn babies are being breastfed, which is very, very, very worrying. To have this conversation with us this morning, I'm joined by Constance Odonko. She's a senior midwife at Kolebu, and Rosemary Asante, who doesn't know her husband's hometown, but she's a nurse, also at Kolebu, and that's just a joke that we're sharing here. But we're having a conversation this morning on breastfeeding and why mothers are perhaps choosing not to breastfeed as much. So jumping straight right in, Constance, because this is the question that I've been wondering, is why? Why are the numbers going down?
Thank you, and good morning to your viewers. So breastfeeding is very essential in the life of the newborn, but the challenge is that health personnel and health workers are doing their best to be able to advocate and then give them the importance of breastfeeding. But unfortunately, we need each and every individual on board, all levels. So even our team is protecting breastfeeding, a shared responsibility. So we all need to be involved, stakeholders, the government, the media, and even the community, which will help us go a long way.
Okay, so are you saying that we're not breastfeeding as much because we're losing sight of the importance of breastfeeding?
Yes, the importance and then the support. The importance as well as the support. A mother may need to give the baby the breast milk, but sometimes she needs somebody to assist her, a bit of household chores here and there, and also the encouragement. We help with the encouragement to know that breastfeeding is essential for the baby, and as well with good communication skills as a health personnel. For instance, you being able to ask the woman open-ended questions and then welcoming the person and also appreciating the fact that she's even breastfeeding in the first place. If not, it will even discourage her. So it cuts across the way we communicate as well, and then helping the support system so that they would also know the essential of breastfeeding. A father who comes to the antenatal unit with a wife knows that the midwife spoke about breastfeeding. So he will also encourage the wife to continually breastfeed the baby. Okay.
I'm finding it's a little bit difficult to relate to the concept of needing to be encouraged to breastfeed. I think because for me, perhaps the importance or the value of breastfeeding is something that has always been. It's like it's our mothers breastfed us. You know, we saw our grandmothers breastfed. You know, so what in terms of education, what are the things that are actually hindering this thing that is so natural? Because it's such a natural, you have a baby, you know, your breasts swell up, you know, it's almost instinctive, isn't it, to put the baby to the breast. So you're almost going against nature to say, actually, no, I'm going to deal with, you know, swollen, hardened breasts and not breastfeed. So what is causing that?
Okay, so what's causing that is some mothers prefer not to breastfeed their babies.
because they don't want their breast to fall. They want to keep the breast for their husbands.
I see.
Get it?
Husband
Yes.
over baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why they don't breastfeed. Aside that too, because of formula, you and I will agree that of late, anywhere you go, there's formula.
Yeah.
Yes. So because of that, mothers prefer the formula as compared to breastfeeding. Aside that too, working mothers, because of the maternity leave issues, they are not able to breastfeed their babies. They will leave their babies. They don't know that they can store the breast milk, so they tend to go in for formula. These are some of the issues. Some mothers don't know the importance of breastfeeding.
Okay. So maybe let's start from there, because these are legitimate issues. So maybe let's start from the importance of breastfeeding. So let's start with to the children or to the babies. What's the value, what's the importance of breastfeeding?
Okay, so breastfeeding to the baby. You see, breast milk, it's the nutritional, is the right nutrition for the baby. Complete nutrition for the baby. So it helps the baby to develop well. Cognitive development, aside that, it's easily digestible because that is the right food for the baby.
Yeah.
You get it? And aside that, it helps to prevent infection. And preventing infection, it helps to prevent long-term non-communicable infections, non-communicable diseases like obesity, diabetes, because studies have shown that babies who take in formula have high risk of having diabetes as compared to babies who are breastfed.
Okay. I mean, and obviously you can't estimate the importance of colostrum, the first few days. I mean, so I would say that, at least even if you're not going to do it long term, for whatever reason, those first few days are absolutely essential to give your baby a kickstart, because they're not going to get immunized for a while. And it does give some sort of immunity, doesn't it?
Yes, so the colostrum, most mothers don't know the importance of it. Yes, they don't know the importance of the colostrum. So now we are having education for our staffs and our mothers, because some of them, they just dispose it off.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they tell us they don't know what's that.
Because it doesn't look like
milk.
Yes,
it doesn't look like milk.
Very light,
Yes, so we are educating our mothers on that they should give it to their babies, because at that instant, it's going to help protect the baby. It's a form of vaccine.
Yeah, it is.
And early vaccine for the baby.
Color. Yes, yes.
So it contains all the
okay, and then, so also, I mean, in the first few days, there's also the benefits of breastfeeding to the mother.
Yes.
Do you want to touch on a few of those?
Yes. So breastfeeding to the mother, we are advocating for skin to skin, right at birth. When the baby is delivered, the baby is put on the mother's abdomen, stomach. The head is covered and the blanket is covered, and so that the baby would bond with the mother, as well as initiate breastfeeding right away. What happens is that the more the baby breastfeeds, then it also helps with the releasing of the oxytocin, which helps the uterus to contract and help prevent what we call postpartum hemorrhage.
It's painful, but
yes, postpartum hemorrhage. So we're advocating for skin to skin, and then currently we are even doing right at the theater table. Skin to skin right at the theater table. When the baby is delivered, we put the baby on the mother's abdomen continually till the procedure is done and it's working.
Okay. I want to add up to it that aside that, it serves as a form of family planning for the mother.
Yes,
that is, if you do 6 months exclusive. 6 months exclusive, no water, no food, no fluid, only breast milk. In that way, it's a form of family planning.
Contraception, because you won't get pregnant.
Yes, and mothers who breastfeed have low risk of having ovarian cancer and breast cancer.
Okay, that's good to hear. I breastfed for 2 years, my daughter, so definitely good to hear. So let's move on. So these are the benefits. Just quickly, it's good for your child. It'll give the child the immunity that it needs. You will bond with your baby. Your uterus will be contracting, and so it will come back to its normal size, and most likely you won't bleed, so there'll be no hemorrhage. And of course, also you're protecting your baby absolutely by giving them nature's best, as we call it. But let's talk about some of the reasons why mothers are not breastfeeding. A big one would be going back to work. So perhaps we can have a really short conversation on storing breast milk.
Okay, so let's look at our theme for this year. Protect breastfeeding, a shared responsibility. Stakeholders should get involved. They should look at our maternity leave for us.
Number one.
Yes, number one. It's very important.
Yes, it's very
important. 2, we are educating our working mothers that they can store their breast milk. Yes, in Ghana here, because of light out issues, this doom saw, you can store it in the freezer for 6 months.
Yeah.
So this is what we tell our mothers. You keep it in the freezer, you label it with a date.
I think you have to start from the pumping.
Okay.
So, yes. Because I'm sure someone is like, how am I going to sit down and, you know, squeeze, you know, my boobs? So they're machines.
Okay.
They're pumps.
So
I think you can get some from Makola.
Yes.
Aside from, I can even use the manual.
Okay, which is
on hand press.
Little tedious.
It works perfectly.
Yes, it works.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So aside using the manual, so that anyone who cannot afford the breast pump, yes, you can go manual. Then we have breast pump.
This is where, for those of you who were asking how fathers can get involved in breastfeeding, you can help your wife by pumping.
Yes.
When her hands are tied, you can actually just, you know, do the pumping action to squeeze out the breast milk. So Israel, there you go. That's how you support your wife on your next baby. And for the fathers out there, so yeah, okay, go ahead.
Yes, then you can use the breast pump. So the breast pump, we have the manual and then we have the electric.
Yeah.
Yes. So which anyone you want to go for, you go for it. So when you pop the breast milk, you can buy the small containers. You squeeze the breast, keep the breast milk in. Then you make sure you write the dates, the time on it. So that when you store it in your freezer, when you are going to work, you teach whoever is going to use the breast milk how to breastfeed the baby, because definitely that person will have to use cup and spoon. Yes, we are encouraging cup and spoon as well.
Okay,
so
as opposed to the bottle?
Yes.
Okay, what's the reason for that?
The reason is that the people used to with the bottle, there'll be nipple confusion as well. Sometimes the baby will not be able to suck the breast and then will be concentrating on the nipple. So we don't want
the bottle.
So there's nipple confusion.
I think also the nipple needs a bit more suction. So once you switch to the bottle, like the children find it's easier for them, is it?
Yes, because that one is softer and all that.
Yeah,
so.
Okay. Okay, but obviously you want to keep them at the nipple because of the other benefits.
Yes, and aside that, so infection. Some mothers don't take very good care of their bottles. So we see baby coming in with diarrhea and other issues. Yes, that is why we are encouraging cup and spoon. So you teach whoever is going to give the baby the breast milk to use cup and spoon. The person should wash their hands. Go in for the breast milk. You start first.
So first in, first out.
Yes.
Okay.
So the person takes that breast milk, keep it in a warm water.
I was going to ask about that.
Yes, so that it becomes...
So not hot boiling water.
Boiling water.
Because otherwise you basically fry all the nutrients.
Right? Yes.
And not the microwave.
No, not the microwave.
Okay.
Not the microwave.
Okay, so warm water.
Warm water.
So you need to take it out maybe an hour before, a couple of hours before, if it's frozen.
Yes.
Okay.
Then you put it down for some time. When you're about to breastfeed the baby, you make your warm water, then you put it's in a cup. So it will be in it. When you test the temperature, if you are okay, it shouldn't be too hot.
Yeah.
Then you breastfeed the baby.
I think we learned that when you pour the breast milk on your skin, you shouldn't feel anything. Which means that it's neither hot nor cold. It's kind of just room temperature.
Yes.
So then that's fine.
Yes.
So this cup and spoon method, which I'm hearing about it for the first time. What do you use? Like a plastic spoon or like a?
Yes.
Use a plastic. You can use the plastic. We prefer the plastic spoon.
So the baby spoon.
Baby spoon.
Okay.
With a small cup.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you kind of just.
Yes, you hold the baby with your cup and spoon. You cover with a bib or any handkerchief you have. You take it, then you put it in baby's mouth.
Okay.
Yes, as a form of bonding. As you are putting it, you say good things to your child. See, baby Rosemary. Then you breastfeed.
Okay. Okay. So this is a third person doing it. So maybe daddy.
Yes,
or
that's
your
how
mom
the
or your
husbands
sisters
come
also
in.
Get involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're really discouraging the use of the bottle.
Yes.
Okay, and also discouraging the use of formula.
As well as pacifiers.
Why?
The reason is that, the baby, when the baby, uses the pacifiers, unfortunately, the baby will not be able to suckle at the breast very well. And what happens is that the mother might think that, okay, baby is fine, baby is okay, baby is full. unfortunately, the baby would just take a bit of the formula, put the baby down, and the baby will be crying. And then the pacifiers also was room for infection.
Okay.
Maybe a nanny is taking care of your baby, you're going to work.
They're not cleaning it.
You won't be there to wash. So realize that maybe the pacifier will just fall on the floor. She'll pick it up, check nobody is watching, put it back into the baby's mouth, then she'll go and rest or do something. Unfortunately, there'll be infection all the time. So we are discouraging pacifiers. We are discouraging.
Another thing that I wanted to clarify with you guys, you know, when you're breastfeeding, you are told not to switch from one breast to another in one session, right? Is that still the way to go? So you keep the baby at one breast for one feeding set. I can't remember exactly what it was, but probably there are different layers of milk that come out, and you kind of want the child to get the whole.
Yes. So okay. So when you are breastfeeding, you want the baby to get the full meal. We have what we call the fore milk and then the hind milk.
Aha, that's
the fore milk contains fats as well as protein and lactose. Likewise, the hind milk. But the fats with the fore milk, the energy is less compared to the hind milk.
Okay.
So the baby should get a complete meal. That means the baby has taken both fore milk and the hind milk. With that one, maybe we'll be well satisfied.
Okay.
But if the baby takes just the fore milk, unfortunately, within some few minutes, baby will be hungry again.
Okay, so what you shouldn't do when you're breastfeeding is, let's say you're breastfeeding for 20 minutes, do 10 minutes on one breast and then do 10 minutes on another. You don't want to do that. You want to keep them on one boob per feeding session so that they can get the fore milk, get the hind. It's like, you know, the starter, the main meal, the dessert. And I think when you do that, then they're fuller for longer.
Yes.
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 And then, okay.
I think I want to add up to it that we want our mothers to know that there is nothing like this breast is water and this breast is full. All the breasts, they are all equal. What is here is the same as what is there.
Yeah.
So you see, we have some clients who tell us that, oh, my mother says this one is water. So she only gives this one when she feels baby is thirsty.
It's thirsty. Yeah, okay, get that. So like Rosemary has said, also a gentle reminder to those listening as well that with breastfeeding, you don't need to give your baby water.
No. So
that is why we define exclusive breastfeeding as exclusive breastfeeding.
Please, we don't understand exclusive breastfeeding.
Okay.
Water is power.
Okay, exclusive breastfeeding is giving your baby only breast milk without any water, food or fluid. No, you don't give baby Coke, gripe water when you are breast. No. It's only
no gripe water.
Milk.
No gripe water.
Yes.
No gripe.
Okay, that's a big thing as well because we, you know, Ghanaians, we like gripe water.
Yes, we like it.
No, I'm giving the baby gripe water. So exclusive breastfeeding, and it's recommended for the first 6 months.
For the first 6 months, and after 6 months, when we introduce complementary feeding, that is our family food, our Tom Brown, our porridge. You should still continue till baby is 2 years and beyond.
Within reason.
Yes. So baby is supposed to take the breast milk from 6 months. After 6 months, you continue to 2 years. And if baby wants to go to 3 years,
so I'm saying 2 years and beyond.
And beyond.
Yes.
Yes. So our fathers, 2 years and beyond.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yes, it's doable.
I did it for 2 years, so definitely doable. But also, let's be honest, it's difficult on mums, you know, if you have to do that. Especially with nighttime feeds. And also there's the comfort that children find in being so close to mom. So sometimes it goes beyond just the sucking for the milk to just the, you know, being close to mom. So I think it's important that our mothers are aware that it does get a bit tedious and a bit difficult, but it's definitely worth it. Yes. Isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So so let me open the phone lines and then we'll come to some demonstrations. And no, we're not going to breastfeed live on TV. But that's what you're looking forward to. But the phone lines are open. It's 0302 211 691 or 0302 211 692. So call us if you have any questions. We have our midwives in the studio, very, very well informed. So they'll tell you, they can deal with your issues for you if you're having any problems. Especially one major problem. Okay, Samuel, 1 second. I'm coming to Samuel in a second, but latching is a problem, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is a big problem. Okay, so this year's breastfeeding week in Kolibu, we are launching the fastest to launch competition. Yes, because we realized that You see, Kolebu is a big hospital, and most of our cases are cesarean section.
Okay.
So the cesarean mothers, they always complain. I had CS because of that. My breast milk is not flowing well. Yes. So we've introduced the fastest to latch. Yes. We are going to do the skin to skin.
Okay.
Because when you do the skin to skin, baby is able to start breastfeeding within 1 hour.
Okay.
Yes, so we've introduced this policy. So when you come to our facility, feel comfortable to ask of skin to skin.
Yes, so get some support when it comes to latching.
Yes.
And when we say latching, obviously we're talking about the right technique that the child needs to be able to suck the breast milk. It's not the usual sucking. It's a whole mechanism which makes the milk flow. Well, interestingly, we have 2 callers on the line, 2 men. Not too sure what they're going to ask. Let's start with Samuel. Samuel is calling us from Takwa. Samuel, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, Samuel. What would you like to know?
Actually, I just joined the conversation, but I understand everything that you have explained. But my question has to do with my child was on 6 months exclusive breastfeeding. And just like you said, a complementary, when he has gone beyond the 6 months breastfeeding, there is this complementary breastfeeding, which you combine the breastfeeding with the home food and those kind of things. But my child is the type, anything you try giving him, he doesn't eat at all. It is only the breast that is being sucking. He is now 1 year old, and it is quite, boring.
Okay, so you'd like to know what kind of strategies to use to be able to get
Exactly. Okay. That I can do too.
Okay. Okay, sure. So let me just take all the questions and then we can come to it. So Esther is calling us from Cape Coast. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning.
Okay, so what's up? What's your question?
Okay, I'm a newborn mother. I just gave birth a baby boy last. And then my baby finds it very difficult to suck my breast. I don't know if it's because of my nipple. Anytime he wants to suck the breast, he puts the tongue just close to the nipple, which sucking becomes very difficult. I just learned that we shouldn't breastfeed them with a feeding bottle. I used to pump the breast in the feeding bottle and then give it to him. But I have learned something today that we shouldn't do that. So I want to know how to help him suck the breast well, because he can't put the nipple in his mouth.
Okay.
Anytime he puts the nipple in his mouth, then he brings his tongue close to the nipple.
Oh, you sound so frustrated. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I hope we can get some answers for you this morning. Let's talk to Angela from Kumasi, and then we'll take some answers. Angela, good morning. What's your question?
Good morning. Please, I have a 1-month-old baby, and I'm not getting enough breast milk. So I want my midwife to at least educate me. I'm almost done my maternity leave.
Okay. So how do you know you're not getting enough breast milk? When you say you're not getting enough breast milk,
like when I express, I get at least the maximum is 120 ml.
Okay. Okay, sure. Okay, so let's take the question. So the first one was the complementary feeding and the fact that the child is not eating other stuff. So how do you deal with that?
Okay. So when you introduce the complementary feed, it's a new thing for the baby. So you have to take your time. You introduce, let's say if you are introducing Tom Brown, you make sure you do the Tom Brown for maybe 3 days, so that you know if the baby likes the Tom Brown or if the baby is having any allergies. Then, if you notice baby doesn't like it, you can change to another meal.
Okay.
But once we are feeding the baby, when you take some, baby knows that, oh, okay, mother is eating some, the baby will eat it. And some babies will prefer you putting the food there, then they will be taking it.
Yeah.
Yes, and you have to feed the baby with colorful things. You know, baby like colorful things. So you make sure that things that you are feeding with the baby, they are colorful. You can change bowls, spoons, sink for the baby. If you are doing all these things and still baby is still not taking the food, you bring the baby to us. We take to the nutritionist, then we know how to go.
Figure it out. Okay. Do you want to add something?
Let me chip in with what she said. So with the complementary feeds, the advice is that, so you start with the feed first, so that, because he's saying that the baby takes breast milk more than the other feeds. So he should start with the
other food first. Okay.
And then we'll supplement with the breast milk.
Yeah.
So that baby is hungry, quickly give the baby, is it the cereal, the cocoa, or the Tom Brown. Then later you can give the breast milk.
The breast milk, yeah.
Yes,
because if you give the breast milk first,
definitely baby
is not going
so
to
the complementary feed first, then we follow with the breast milk.
Yeah, and let's remember that we're introducing a whole new world of food. So it requires a lot of coaxing and, you know, singing and airplanes flying. It's a project. So, you know, stick with it. I think if you stick with it, we'll get there. And the second question that came was about the fact that the baby wasn't latching on. So she wanted to know if it was an issue of the latching technique or whether it was her nipples.
Okay. So we'll have a demonstration, and that would have demonstration on how to latch. Which baby to breast.
Okay, so let's do the last question, which was, and I'm trying to remember, was about not enough milk. Okay, so she said she was getting a maximum of 120 ml, and so was wondering how to make her body or encourage her body to produce more milk.
So with that, the more baby breastfeed, that's when the milk is produced. So if baby is not latching well, there's no way the breast milk will flow.
Okay.
If mother is stressful, there's no way the breast milk will flow. So it's two things. It's either the technique is wrong,
or you're stressed.
Or you're stressed.
Okay. And she did sound a little stressed.
And also, let me chip in. Sometimes we have what we call the feeding cues. Feeding cues basically means the things that will let you know that the baby wants to feed. For example, is baby would open the mouth, baby drawing closer to the breast. If you ignore all that, you get to the late cue, baby will be agitated, will not be able to take the breast.
Okay.
So we should take it. We should note that we should ensure that babies are able to breastfeed well, and the mothers shouldn't ignore the feeding cues.
Yeah.
She's tired and sleeping, and sometimes what we realize is that the baby cot is in the other room and the mother is in another room. So getting up to even breastfeed becomes a challenge. But the baby cot should be close to you so that quickly you could see the signs and then you would put baby to breast. If you wait, baby will be agitated. Unfortunately, you give the milk and then you think baby has taken it up.
Okay.
So
what we'll do in our demonstration, and also to deal with the stress of breastfeeding, is show our mums how to relax and enjoy the feeding process so that your body is in optimal state so that you can produce enough milk for the baby. We have Joe calling us from Takrady. The men are very interested this morning. Good morning, Joe.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi. Okay, so what's your question?
I'm watching your program.
Okay, so what's your question?
Good morning, madam.
Okay, I think I have both Joe and Joseph on the line. Interesting. Okay, hello, Joseph. You're calling us from Accra.
Yeah,
right?
I've heard, I have one month, 3 weeks, but the breastfeeding wasn't enough for her. Is it advisable for us to add the milk, like one or other 10 milk, for her to get enough milk? Because I think most of the time when you go to hospital, that weight, what the nurse wants is the baby have increase of weight. So if the breastfeeding is not enough for her, is it advisable for us to add other things to it for her to get the weight?
Okay, how old did you say your baby was?
1 month, 3 weeks.
1 month, 3 weeks. That's about 7 weeks.
So I want to know whether because what I've seen is the breastfeeding is not enough for her. When you give it to her just now, maybe about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, she'll be crying. I think always she wants more, and the mother can't give it to her always. Putting it into his mouth for her to be there just like that. When you leave it, then she's crying. She needs more. And the breastfeeding is coming. The breast is coming all right. The milk is coming all right.
Okay, I understand. I think patience, right? You have to sit down and
yes, it's patience, and from what he was saying. He said the breast milk, it's flowing all right. It could be that the technique is wrong. That is one. It could also be that some mothers, when they put the baby, when they are breastfeeding, and in 5 minutes, they stop.
Yeah.
Baby, it's fine. But then when you breastfeed the baby well,
and they are
full, baby will sleep for 2 to 3 hours. When baby, you can change 5 wet diapers, baby will pass too well. So it's not about adding the formula.
It's about taking your time.
It's about taking your time, and it's about the position
and attachment.
And the attachment.
Yes, position and attachment will help with breastfeeding.
Okay, so let's talk to Amadou, and then we come and do the demonstration of the positioning and the attachment. So Amadou, I'm calling us from Obuasi. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Hi. Okay, what's up? What's your question? Okay, I think I've lost Amadou, but I have Joe in Takrady. Joe.
Hello, I'm still around.
Okay, it's Joe that I lost. Amadou, what's up? What's your question?
Yeah, I want to know how many months will the baby start to feel the normal cocoa porridge that we have? Let's say, before the breastfeeding.
Okay, so he wants to know when to start.
And then the second issue is that right now my baby, like whenever he starts to take the breast milk, the mother always gets feeling pains in the breast, pains all the time. And then always, I don't know. So sometimes it normally takes small, then weighs small. I don't know what we can go for the formula feed for the baby.
Okay.
Let's say the number 1 or the SMA Gold, which of them will be appropriate. Because always when it starts, the mother starts feeling pains. And then sometimes usually cry self.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. It's tough. It's a difficult phase. But let's talk about the first question was when to introduce cocoa and stuff. That would be after 6.
After 6 months. And we are saying that you have to ensure you give varieties. So as my other colleague said, if you are given cocoa, between 3 days to a week, you try and see the baby will tolerate. Some of the babies are allergic to some of the food that we give them. So take your time, have patience. The baby will take a little, will stop gradually before you introduce another one. And then ensure that you give the feed before you breastfeed.
Yeah.
If the baby is full, baby will not take the breast milk.
Okay.
So let's give the complementary feeds and then we'll add with it.
Okay, then let's talk about pain. So there's the engorgement, there's the painful nipples, there's all of those things.
Yeah. So when the position is not done well, when position and attachment is not done well, that is when we have the engorgement of breast, sore nipple, and other issues. So it's about the position. Sometimes the mothers, okay, we are going to talk on that.
Okay, no, so go ahead and let's do the demonstration.
So, the mother should always be in a comfortable position. If she's sitting in a chair, there should be a back support like this. The reason is that when she's breastfeeding, the chance of her burning is very high. And that will cause her pain and will feel reluctant to continually breastfeed her baby. So get a chair with a back support. If you want to sit in bed, make sure you lay on the wall. Some people prefer sitting on the floor, but make sure there's a back support for you to be in a sitting up position.
Okay.
So she'll be in a sitting up position this way. And then her baby will lie in between. The baby's body will be close to her body. Yes. The baby's head and body should be in a straight line. Can you all see?
Yes.
Good. And then her body, the baby's body will touch the mother's body or abdomen. And the mother will hold the baby close to her abdomen, and then the full baby or the full body will be supported with another arm.
Okay.
Like this. So the chair is okay, she's relaxed this way. And then, please note, 4 fingers beneath. So the chest, beneath the breast. So close to the chest wall, beneath the breast. So gives you the shape of the breast. And then the thumb on the breast. Close, it shouldn't be close to the nipple. let's avoid the scissor hold, the index finger and then the middle finger. Some mothers do this.
Yeah.
The scissor hold. Let's avoid that. The reason is that when you do this, you block the duct. That is where the milk is stored. So if you have blocked the duct, you might think baby is sucking. Unfortunately, baby is not sucking. So we've gotten our position. Now we are coming to the attachment. So the attachment, first of all, the baby's mouth is widely open. The baby's mouth is widely open. And then also, the baby's lower chin is touched to the mother's breast. Baby's mouth is widely open. Then the baby's chin is attached to the mother's breast. Sorry, the lower chin is touched to the mother's breast. And then there is more areola. Note, there is more areola. The areola is the black spot. The baby's, the mother's areola should be more areola above than below.
Okay.
So they ensure that the baby is not sucking the nipple, but the baby is supposed to take the black spot. That is where the milk is stored. So maybe the first caller was saying that when the baby sucks and then unfortunately the baby is not satisfied. It's possible that the mother is not getting the attachment right. The baby is sucking the nipple. The baby sucks the nipple. We have what we call sore nipple and then engorgement of the breast. She'll have pain because of what? The continuous sucking of the nipple. There'll be break in the skin. So unfortunately, baby would what? Mother will have pain whilst breastfeeding, and then she won't be able to what? Continually breastfeed her baby. So more areola above than below. Baby's mouth is widely open, and then the baby's chin is also touching the mother's breast. We are good to go.
So wait, just to clarify, are we still putting the nipple in the mouth?
So we are saying that the baby would be able to suck gradually because of they're able to get the sense of the breast milk. So the baby will latch to the breast. You don't give the breast to the baby, but rather you give baby to the breast.
Okay, so you don't just want the nipple.
The areola, the black
whole.
Yes. More areola above than below.
Okay,
yes.
All right, I think we get that. And of course, you don't want to have your hand completely hurting, so you can put a pillow here so that the baby is supported.
And we have different types of breastfeeding as well. We have what we call the underarm. So with the underarm, a pillow will be supported this way, and then the baby.
Okay, so there's this as well. Okay.
This as well. This is what we call the cross cuddle. Cross cuddle. And then the underarm too, like this.
Is the other way around.
So this way.
Yeah.
So the pillow
is this way.
And we are good to go. You put your hand this way to support the baby's neck, and it is safe.
Okay.
So there are various positions for you to.
Okay. I think what's important is that find what is comfortable for you and for your baby. Have patience. It doesn't come as easy as we would like. And remember that it is a sacrifice ultimately. Your body's gone through a lot to produce this human being. And so give yourself some time to relax and do it comfortably. So find a comfortable chair or a bed and relax, and let's just know that it's an experience. It's National Breastfeeding Week, so we will return to this conversation. We'd love to have more of your questions. You can follow us on social media and post your questions there, and then we'll have our experts come and answer for you. But we hope we've helped you this morning. And if you're a mom and you're breastfeeding, we're with you. We're supporting you in spirit. Keep at it. It will get better, and you are giving your child the best possible starts that you could.
Let's continue with our conversation. An interesting conversation on breastfeeding as well. Any more asking all the right questions. Right now, we're moving on to STEM. And the National Science and Maths Quiz, they've had a scientific fair as part of the quiz or the whole festival. And we have the winner. And the winner is joining us in the studio right now. He's Asan James. Asan James is from Obuasi
Senior High Technical School.
Okay, congratulations to you. Let's talk about the fair. What was it that won you?
Oh, we won because we did what the judges want, let's say they want the speed, the accuracy, teamwork, and also how ready your project is to use.
Right. So just to give the viewers some background, it had to do, this time it had to do with COVID. You were supposed to design something around the COVID-19 pandemic, and you designed a wash station.
Yes, sanitizing station.
Sanitizing station.
Yes.
So tell us a bit more about that sanitizing station.
Okay, so...
What are the properties?
So the sanitizing station, it consists of the touchless hand washing bucket, the touchless waste bin, and the touchless sanitizing kits. So the touchless bucket will allow a person to wash the hand without touching it, and the tissue, the waste bin too will also allow a person to drop the tissue into it, and as well as the kit will also allow the person to sanitize the hands, since the person would like to sanitize the hands after washing his hand.
So you guys designed everything from scratch?
Yes, from scratch with the
Can you quickly walk us through the process and all that? So I'm sure you have to use all the sensors in several places.
Yes, sensors in all the three.
And you designed it as well?
Yes.
As in your team. How many were you?
For the team, when we were doing the challenge, we were only 2.
All right. But before the 2, there were several others who were involved?
Yes, we were having a reserve. That's the girl, our girl.
Okay, so there were 3 of you who put it all together, but 2 of you were involved in the presentation.
When we were doing the challenge, we used only 2.
All right.
Only 2.
Okay. So anyway, I mean, brilliant work, and congratulations to you. Let's take a look at what is it that you won. So here it is, if you can see it on your screen right now. So it's the Primetime STEM Festival SciTech Fair, SciTech Innovation Challenge 2021 winner, and it's powered by APSA. But indeed, okay, so you can see it on your screen right now. Yeah. So congratulations to you, Obuasi.
Senior High Technical.
Senior High Technical. you intend to want to make it clear that it's a Senior High Technical school.
Yes.
But congratulations to you.
Thank you.
All right. And what are you guys hoping to do from now on? I mean, you've been able to design something like this, which is incredible for you being it. Because there's been a lot of conversation about the fact that the National Science and Maths quiz is all about theory. But now you're proving that beyond the theory, you guys can do something practical, which is wonderful. So what do you intend to do?
Well, for us, recently, we just finished on our smart ballot box.
All right.
So that smart ballot box is going to count the number of ballot papers in the ballot box. So as they are voting, it will tally all.
You were featured on JoyNews sometime, the smart ballot box.
The smart ballot, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Okay, congratulations to you guys. You guys are incredible. So it means you have lots of other things.
Yes, we have a lot of projects in our school, in our lab there.
Tell us a bit more about that. We don't want anybody else to know. What are some of the other things you're developing?
For us, we have, let's say, energy management system, where we have converted all AC bulbs into DC.
Okay.
And we are using relays to control them. Let's say in case in a classroom where students who have finished learning to leave the class, so no one is going to turn off the lights.
Yeah.
So the light is going to turn off by itself. And we are also using solar tracking system for it. So the solar panel will turn towards the direction of the sun, so that it's all...
So I can imagine that you'll be developing some of these things for your school, implementing, using some of these things in your school itself.
Yes.
So this energy management, have you installed it in the school?
Yes, for our lab. So we did everything there.
All right. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. All right. Thank you very much for making time to speaking with us. Let's get on Zoom and get to speak with one of the judges for the event. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, you tell us about this SciTech Fair. I'm seeing some incredible things. Adson has been telling me about it. But how did you find the students?
This was fascinating. It was the first time that Ghana got to see our senior high school students build something from scratch. one thing you mentioned earlier on is there's this perception, even though National Science and Maths quiz is very successful, everybody's wondering what can our students actually do? What can they do to build products? How they turn the theory into practical. So the SciTech Innovation Challenge gave us the opportunity for us to do that. And it was quite interesting. We had a number of applications and we selected the top 10. And we got so many innovations. I mean, because the title was how combating COVID-19 with innovation solutions, it wasn't surprising that some of the solutions were very, very much around coming up with automated sanitizing station, one of which Obuasi presented. But aside that, we had other inventions as well. We had other schools designing robots to be able to deliver medicine to patients, so that is preventing our front line workers from actually interfacing directly with COVID patients. We also had some designing an e-learning platform to assist students when they are at home. We also had some designing a contact tracing platform, dashboard, to be able to give information. And another one that was quite interesting was a cash bot, which was basically would take any cash from you and then sanitize it automatically.
Okay. So great. We're going to be talking a lot more about that in the news. We'll be featuring Hassan and the rest of the team on the news and the wonderful things they've done. But thank you very much, Dr. Lucia Jepong, who's the faculty of Engineering, Academic City College, and she was one of the judges. And congratulations to you once again, and to the rest of your team at Obuasi Senior High Technical School. Congratulations. Yeah, goes there on that. All right, and that'll be it for the show, AM show for today. I'm Israelai, and I hosted the show with Enimwa Enimado, and we'll be doing this for the next 2 weeks. So do join us every morning. Have a wonderful day.